Hello, I'm Kiri Bloor, and this is Box to Box, the show that keeps you in the loop of all things football and boxing. And of course, to my left is none other than the gorgeous Sophia Di Stefano. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. We have had a very exciting week of boxing and football, which we are looking forward to telling you all about.
Indeed we are. My script says to keep us in line, but I have a feeling we're going to be keeping them in line. On the sofa, we've got Bournemouth defender Tyrone Mings. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
We've also got Michael Jarman. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm
And Tom Latcham, who I feel is the most grown up of all of them on the sofa. How you doing?
I'm all right, thanks. I think you're probably right.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's get down to the sporting headlines. First of all, Leicester just keep on winning, but thanks to Tottenham, the Premier League title race is not over yet. Maurizio Pochettino's youthful side kept alive their hopes by beating Manchester United 3-0 on Sunday by scoring 3 goals in 6.5 minutes. They remain 7 points behind leaders Leicester with 5 games left. Tottenham have now scored the most goals and conceded the fewest in top flight this season. There is no doubt the fight to the top will go right to the wire. Leicester are strong 7 points clear and have the advantage of playing first in each of the next 4 weeks. They need 3 wins to secure the title after edging closer with a 2-0 win at Sunderland, with Vardy scoring both of the goals. Claudio Ranieri said the fans can dream, but his Leicester players must not get carried away. It's going to be hard for any Leicester fan to remain calm, remembering this time last season they were fighting the relegation battle. Andy Carroll's hat-trick dealt another blow to Arsenal's already slim Premier League title hopes. Despite the Gunners fighting back to a draw at West Ham, Arsenal's 10 points behind leaders Leicester with 6 games to play. Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez converted Alex Iwobi's passes to put Arsenal 2-0 up, but Carroll netted twice in 160 seconds to bring his side level by half-time. Well, not only has it been an amazing week in football, boxing has certainly taken centre stage this week.
It certainly has, Kiri. Britain has a new heavyweight champion of the world. Olympic gold medalist Anthony Joshua landed the IBF world title with a brutal second-round KO win over unbeaten champion Charles Martin. In only his 16th pro fight, he is the 5th fastest heavyweight to become world champion, ahead of both Tyson and Ali. Also on the same bill, British super middleweight George Groves is back on the rise after winning against unbeaten Scot David Brophy. Nigel Benn's son Conor kicked off his pro career with an explosive first-round KO win against Hungarian Boyanov. Lee Selby survived a second-round knockout to defeat mandatory challenger Eric Hunter in the second defence of his IBF World Featherweight title. And Jamie McDonnell dominated Fernando Vargas with a 9th-round stoppage win in the 4th defence of his WBA World Bantamweight title.
Well, of course, Box to Box was centre stage for the AJ fight this weekend, but we did have a little chat with him a little earlier on this week.
Yeah, even looking at the title so close, it doesn't mean no different to me. I've managed to capture some big titles when I was at amateur. I've managed to capture a couple titles that led me here as a pro. And this is just going to be part of the history and part of my legacy. So I'm chilled, man. I'm just here to do a number on my end, because more so about the title, they're more so interested in how I perform.
Okay, well, let's have a chat to our guest on the sofa. You didn't hear, basically, he was saying he was going to win. So obviously you were there, main man part of the action. Tell us what it was like down there.
Wow, electric. Absolutely unbelievable. From the ring walk all the way to the preparation. Even just things like, you know, when you came down and experienced on Monday what was it, the open media workout. The whole week was just absolutely fantastic.
There he is, holding the bell.
That's the money shot. Look at the guy in the background. I don't know what he's trying to get in.
He's checking you out.
Photo bombing.
He's having it. And
you just swapped your hat?
Yeah, literally. I'll tell you.
He looks like a bouncer's about to throw you out the ring. Get out now. Who are you?
Gate crasher.
So Michael, tell us what your role is. Why are you down there? What's your role in that
basically,
setup?
I'm a very good friend, been a family friend of his now since we're probably 8 years old or so. I think he's always been he's respected me and been mindful of what I've done in terms of the waves that I've made into the financial industry and then transitioned over into the sports industry. But yeah, pretty much so. It's just, I suppose I'm part of his privy council. I'm one of his closest advisors, so if he ever needs a friend in need, then I give him the best advice that I can.
How were the celebrations afterwards?
Yeah, real. To be fair, he was pretty chilled. He just had all his family backstage, went and chilled at his hotel with his family. Obviously, me being me, put on an after party, so made sure I sent as much of the business down as I could do. It was lovely.
Okay, so Tyrone, what did you think about the boxing match?
I was actually at I was actually at my
And the massive boxing fan that you are.
party.
Okay.
So I didn't actually watch the fight. I was following it on Twitter and stuff, and obviously I seen as soon as he knocked him out. Obviously everything blows up on Twitter, doesn't it? So I
saw the
seen
news.
the knockout, yeah.
Okay, well let's talk about you. Obviously signed a record deal with Bournemouth, but it's not been the ride that you would have wanted to start with. Injuries sort of set you back. Talk us through that. I know there's been a lot in the press at the moment about your injury and now a little bit more of a setback. So tell us where we're at with that.
Yeah, so I had another operation a couple of weeks ago. It was a minor setback. It was basically, I had 2 operations on my ligaments, on my cruciate and my medial ligament back in September now. And then I've had another little setback. Had an operation on my medial ligament. They took some pins out, strengthened it a little bit more. So yeah, it probably set me back another couple of months, but overall it's probably the best thing I could have done. I'd rather have had that operation and got everything out of the way now, rather than waited and tried to fight the pain and go through it and then maybe have to have it later on.
How does it affect you in terms of, because the way it happened was a pretty devastating way for you, is your debut into the Premiership, and it was 6 minutes in. How have you overcome the sort of the mental side of it? Because you do need a lot of mental strength to kind of, with all the setbacks you've had. Yeah,
mentally it's probably more important, funnily enough, than how you deal with it physically, because eventually your body will repair. And I think the mental side of it has a massive impact as to how quickly you do repair and at what rate you get back onto the pitch. So having to deal with it mentally has been a lot of family, friends, guidance, the team, the manager, trying to lean on them for support. Obviously the manager's been through...
So let's talk about Eddie Howe a bit, because obviously he is... No, we're just going to talk about Eddie Howe because obviously he is a big feature of Bournemouth. He is the glue that is holding that team together. What is it like? I mean, I know that you've perhaps not experienced as much of the training as you would, but having him as a mentor, having him around you, what's it like working with Eddie Howe?
It's great. He's very... best way I could probably describe his methods is probably quite innovative. He's very young and enthusiastic for a manager, so he gets involved in training and he loves learning new methods, and he's very heavily focused on analysis of games and stuff like that. So it's really good to have him as a manager and as a mentor. Obviously, as I was about to say before you cut me off.
So rudely interrupted you.
He obviously got injured before, so back in the good old days. So he, I can obviously relate. He can obviously relate to my situation. So, it's been a big help.
Okay, well, Tom, we won't leave you out of this because I know that you have got the most incredible tattoo. Let's have a glimpse of that. This is the ultimate Bournemouth fan that we have here. Not only is he a journalist, he is also...
So it's not a good one either. That's not meant to look like an egg.
So I'm being told if you could keep that up just so we can see that a little bit longer.
That's not meant to join there. The writing's not meant to go into the crest. And to top it all off, not only is it a bad tattoo, it's the old crest as well.
Brilliant.
So.
Okay, well, obviously not that worried about the tattoo. Yeah, things that you do, but it's certainly a better place for Bournemouth to be in right now. That tattoo has got to be looking a little better. Now you're in the Premier League and safe from relegation.
Yeah.
As a fan watching the progression of Bournemouth, but not only over the last couple of years, the progression through this season, it's been pretty impressive.
It's been remarkable. I was saying to Tyrone before we came on that when he got injured, it wasn't just him that got injured. In the space of 2 weeks, Callum Wilson, our top striker, got top scorer, got injured. Tyrone got injured, and Max Gradle, who was our second highest transfer, got injured. That's 2 of our main attackers got injured, plus Tyrone. I'm not afraid to admit, when I saw them get injured against Leicester and then Callum against Stoke, I thought, God, we're in trouble here, because it's hard enough going into the Premier League with a bit of luck. You look at what Leicester have done; they haven't had an injury this season, and they're about to win the title. Let's not pretend it's going to go to the wire. They only need 3 wins. They're going to get them sooner rather than later, I think. If you don't have those injuries, you need that bit of fortune in a way, and we didn't have that, and you think, God, you need things to go for you. So what Eddie Howe's done, really, in rallying and not panicking and pushing us through to get us to safety is remarkable, and it's a mark of the man, frankly.
Definitely. Now, there's been quite a bit of talk at the moment about perhaps Bournemouth being a little bit not as enthusiastic. Like, there's a lot of journalists and pundits saying that perhaps they're sleeping now rather than awake. I mean, obviously it's getting towards the end of the season, everybody's tired, like you said about the injuries. Tyrone, what's that like when you're hearing, as a player, you're playing right to the death, and you're hearing journalists saying, oh, they're being lazy, they're not putting in the effort, particularly for someone like you watching Bournemouth now?
Yeah. Well, that's probably a little bit unfair. In the last 3 games, I think we've played Tottenham, Man City and Villa. Tottenham, Man City, obviously at the other end of the league, and we beat Villa. So if you're looking at those games and looking at the results you would expect us to get points from, I think we did get the points. So
and it's Steve Cook, and Steve Cook doing a backheel goal. Yeah. Joshua King scoring and kissing his badge.
Yeah.
Tell me they've given up and they don't care.
Yeah, it's a very family-oriented club and it's a very tight-knit squad. So I think it is a bit unfair to say that, because it will go, fortunately not for us, right to the wire. Obviously the whole season has been a crazy one. Everyone's beating everyone.
You'll be fighting Chelsea for 10th spot.
I know. Also,
do you know what? There's no way that she could get Chelsea in any other way.
We're on your tail.
No one was talking about Chelsea.
I've got to say.
And then she has to sit on the Chelsea mug.
10th spot.
I've got to say,
we'll hide the mug. It's embarrassing.
The teams that we struggle against, and I don't know if you'll agree, Tyrone, the teams we struggle against are the teams that play a similar way to us, but with better personnel. So the teams that we've got battered by this season and not even been in either of the fixtures were Tottenham, Man City, and Arsenal. So they all play in a similar way to us: pressing, high intensity, nice passing football, quick one-touch football. They just do it better, and we've been overawed in all of those 6 matches. But other games against everyone else, we haven't.
So I've got one way we can talk about Chelsea.
Yeah, it was easy.
Chelsea game was
I'm not afraid to admit. I'm not afraid to admit. I shed a little tear. I was at the game. I cried when we beat Chelsea away.
I've not stopped hearing about it since, so we'd rather not talk about it. Actually, why don't we talk about Tyrone?
There has been talk about Eddie Howe should have been being put forward for the Chelsea manager position. In terms of your thoughts of that, obviously he's an amazing manager. He's a youthful manager. What are your thoughts on, because that always happens. You see managers rise. I mean, MJ, what do you think about that? You see managers rise, they get to a certain position, and then everybody's saying they should leave the club, particularly, things like Spurs. You're seeing people saying, oh, they should leave, they should move elsewhere. Is it the right decision, do you think, to stay with Eddie at Bournemouth?
Talk is cheap and money buys houses. So I think when cash is on the table, it's very hard, as much as fans obviously want, loyalty and demand loyalty as such from players and managers alike. It's hard to refuse decent offers that are tabled, and I think if you're doing a good job, such as the likes of Eddie Howe has done, Pochettino has done this year, there are going to be big offers coming in and around clubs that are in need of services. And
we've got a die-hard fan.
I don't agree with you on Eddie Howe. I certainly, in terms of certain people, Eddie has he's cut from different cloth, and I interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he's already been away, been burned. He knows at Bournemouth he's the boss. What he says goes. He's got it all his own way. He's on £2 million a year. Let's not forget. He's not shy of a pound or two. So ultimately, and he said to me, "Why would I want to leave?" And actually, there won't be many jobs there that would genuinely interest him. But also, who's going to go? Who's going to go? Who's going to go for him? Who's going to go for him? The big clubs won't take a punt on him.
Fine, maybe not now, right? But let's say
Tyrone's just sitting back, having a look at the picture work.
You're speaking from a fan's point of view, so you're going to have a bias.
Well, also, I've chatted to him. I've interviewed him, and he said, "I'd like to do a Fergie here. I'd like to stay for years."
Okay, guys. Well, we will come back to this very shortly. We're going to be talking Leicester. We are going to be talking Spurs, and we'll be talking more about Arsenal. Why can they never quite make it to the top? We'll be back in just a moment or two.